All right, we've got this question before us. It says a new car is purchased for $52,000 and depreciates at a rate of 8% per annum, compounding monthly. Write a rule for the value of the car, C of N, after N months. All right, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do some work over here. I want you to just sit back, relax, don't write anything down. I just want to talk through this process. And then once I've talked through the long process and you just sat back, relaxed, taken it all in, then I'll go through how to answer this the nice, quick way. But you really need to understand this. You need to understand what's going on, because if you don't have a solid foundation, things will go off the rails quite quickly in financial maths. You need to understand what it is that we're doing. Okay. So for this part, don't write anything down. I just want to sit back, relax, take it in, but really focus for me. Don't wander off. All right. We've been told we need to create a rule for the value of this car after a certain amount of months. But do you see here in the question, it tells us how much it depreciates each year. Each year, it depreciates by 8%. But what we want to figure out is how much it depreciates each month. So let's just write this down here for a moment. And again, don't write any of this down. Yearly, we know it's depreciating by 8%. What we want to figure out is how much it depreciates monthly. How can we figure that out? Well, hopefully you can realize that what it is that we need to do here is take out 8% and divide it by 12, because there's 12 months in a year. So we'll come over here and I'm going to go 8 divided by 12. And when I do that, I end up with 0.666 ... Now, it's important to remember that this is a percentage. Okay, so each month you're losing 0.666% of the value of the car. Can we now ask the question, how much of the value of the car remains each month? Because, at the start of the very beginning, you have 100% of the value of the car. You've got 100% of the value of the car. But after the first month, you lose 0.666 ... percentage of that value. I'm taking 100, I'm saying we're losing that. So the amount of value of the car that remains each month is 99.33 ... percent. And you know what? I might just round it to 33 just to make our lives a bit easier. All right, let's just stop here for a moment, because this is so very important. You need to understand what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is, each month, we're losing 0.66% of the value of the car. Each month, that's how much we're losing. What that means is that each month we retain this much of the value of the car. Each month we retain 99.33% of the car. Hopefully that makes sense. What we now need to do is we need to say, hey, I really don't like percentages, because this is a percentage. What I want to turn it into is a decimal. How can I turn a percentage into a decimal? I divide it by 100. And when I do that, what I'm going to end up with, so when I divide it by 100, I'm going to end up with 0.9933. That's what it looks like. We're now going to write a recursion relation. Again, the question doesn't ask us to do a recursion relation, but remember, you're not writing any of this down. You're just sitting back, taking it all in so you can understand what exactly is happening. We're going to create a recursion. Write that a bit better. A recursion relation here. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, well, C of 0 is the initial cost. The value of the car initially was $52,000. Is that correct? Yes, $52,000. Then I'm going to say the value C of N plus 1 is, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say it is 0.9933 times by the value of the previous iteration. Okay, so each month I'm timesing the value of the car by 0.9933. That's what's happening. If I was to show you what this looks like in action, so C of 0 is 52,000. What is C of 1? So after 1 month, I'm going to take 52,000, 1, 2, 3, hit enter, times it by 0.9933. So after 1 month, I have lost, let's say it, I've lost 0.66% of the value, which means it's now worth 51,651.6. So it's now worth this. And actually, let me show you the calculation that I've done here. I've gone 52,100. I've times that by 0.9933, and that's given me 1.6. To figure out what it's worth in the second month, or after the second month, I take this value here, 51,651.6, and times it by 0.9933. And that gives me 51,305.53428. I'm going to do it one more time. If I wanted to figure out the value after the end of the third month, I would take 51,305.53428, and I would times it by 0.9933, because each month I'm losing that 0.666%. So I'm timesing it by this each time to show how much of it is remaining. If I hit enter again, I'm going to round this 5961. We'll call it 79. So after the third month, this is how much of the value of the car that remained. I started with the car being worth $52,000. At the end of the third month, this is how much it is worth, $50,961. Can I now take this information that I've done and put it into a rule? What would that look like if I was to kind of use my idea of a rule to write this down? This is what I want you to understand here. That if I wanted, using my rule, to figure out what this is going to be worth after 3 months, what I could do is I could take my initial amount, 52,000, and I could times it by 0.9933, times it by 0.9933, times it by 0.9933. Because I'm finding out the third month, I have times it 3 times. Let's understand why this works. Because this first part here gives me this number there, doesn't it? C of 1. So this number here, and I'm actually going to use the power of technology, this is that. If I wanted to figure out how much this is worth now, so now I'm taking all of that, well, I'm going to take this value here and times it by 0.993, right? So I'm now taking, write it out again, I'm taking that value and I'm timesing it by 0.9933. Well, that's going to give me this. Because as you can see, that's exactly what we did, 51.6 blah, 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 times that, which gives me this. Now I want to take that value and I want to times it by 0.9933. So that means what I'm now after is the whole thing. And that means what I would do is, well, this is just going to be equal to this number right there. So what you need to understand now is another way for me to write this right here is to simply go 52,000 times by 0.9933 raised to the power of 3. And if I was to do that, 52,000 times 0.9933 raised to the power of 3, I'm going to get the same answer of 50,961.79. That is the idea of a rule. So now I could just write a general rule where instead of I'm raising it to specifically 3, I could just say 52,000 times 0.9933 raised to the power of n, where n represents any number of months. This is kind of the background knowledge that you need to understand. This is the foundation upon which we build upon when understanding what exactly we're doing here. Understanding that we've gone from yearly to monthly. We're changing it to a percentage, to a decimal. Understanding the relationship between recursion and using the rule. And this right here that we've created here is the rule. We can now sub in into this end spot any number of months and get how much this value of the car will be worth. So it could say, how much is the car going to be worth after 20 months? the value of the car is going to be $45,000 after 20 months. Hopefully you can understand the power of using this rule. Now, this is just a background thing. I've taken 10 minutes just to kind of give you background of what's going on. What I'm now going to do is come back here and tell you kind of the quick way to answer this using the information that we're given here. All right.